Okay. Calling the meeting to order. Thank you everyone for being here with us on this chilly evening. I'd like to begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can, please stand and join us. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and if the clerk could please help me with the roll call?
Dabashakine,
Here.
Devereaux, Green,
Here.
Lewis, McKinney, Robinson, present, Schwartz,
Okay, thank you. Now moving to approval of agenda. Is there a motion?
Move the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. And moving to citizen participation, if anyone in the audience or online would like to speak to anything that's on the agenda, if you're present, please come to the podium and share your name, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And so I'd like to please open it up.
Brenda Baker, Ashton Court, here to talk about the Committee to Promote Superior Township. You have on page 96 out of 120, refreshingly short packet, communication for January from our committee.
Okay.
And most of it, as usual, is pretty self-explanatory. I would kind of highlight down at the bottom about New Year's housekeeping things. I mentioned a couple of things about our information booth, which will next be present probably just before Memorial Day at the Dixboro Farmers Market. I can't think of anywhere else where we're going to have that booth between now and then. Anyway, especially with all the information we get from Parks and Rec, there's a lot of material that we're trying to display, and different people approaching the booth are interested in different things. And so we're looking to take better, make better use of the space by using vertical displays in addition to horizontal on the table. So if anybody has any suggestions how to construct that kind of things, or knows of something we should look at for inspiration, please feel free. We'd appreciate it. And also along similar lines, the giveaway items from the booth that are pictured on your update here happen to be the shopping bag and the bumper sticker and the wristband. And I didn't get in the picture. We also had refrigerator magnets with emergency numbers are also one of our giveaway items. And we're looking to sort of update our selection for this year in time for Superior Day. I don't know when Superior Day is exactly, but it's usually in June. And the bumper stickers, I'm just going to get more of the bumper stickers. That's surprisingly a hit. But again, we could use suggestions regarding the giveaways as well. And
Thank you.
if anybody has any questions regarding the committee, I am here to address them in the proper place on the agenda. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Anything online? Okay.
So this is from Steph to everyone. In December, the board held a hearing for adding street lighting to the Getty's Ridge, citing fairness to other subdivisions with special assessments and claiming insufficient evidence that lighting improves public safety. The board proposed installing just 6 lights in the subdivision of 154 homes and suggested this be funded through an illegal special assessment that failed to meet criteria applied to other specially assessed neighborhoods. Residents rightfully rejected the proposal due to inadequate lighting coverage and disproportionate cost, which the board has since mischaracterized as residents not wanting lighting. Just last week around 2 a.m., 2 teenagers drove through our completely dark subdivision to evade police. They abandoned a damaged vehicle in front of my home after concealing weapons in the trunk and fled toward my backyard when an astute Washtenaw County Sheriff's deputy drove past and identified, I'm sorry, I lost my place here. And identified their car as one under active pursuit. Like something straight out of a Will Ferrell movie. They pretended to live here, slowly walking toward my house so as to not raise suspicion before seeing the police pull into my driveway and bustling out of some moves straight taken out of Tekken in order to jump my fence. For Ken who won't get that reference, Tekken is a game like Pong or Stickball. They were instead impaled by metal bird spikes mounted atop my gate, intended to deter stray cats, falling on top of each other and collapsing my fence. They dropped another firearm in my yard before fleeing into the woods towards MacArthur Boulevard. Incidents like this occur multiple times a year. We've had 2 drive-by shootings in which the culprits were never identified because of the darkness, several vehicle theft shootings nearby, and now armed teenagers deliberately parking in the sub to evade police. Yet the lack of lighting persists. This time we were very fortunate the WSC employs deputies qualified to be Olympic sprinters. Pursuing them on foot, they would have caught them had they not stopped to retrieve the gun that was dropped. They did an excellent job. All that said, it is entirely unacceptable that repeated serious public safety threats continue to be minimized by this board rather than addressed with a basic preventative measure.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments?
That is it.
Okay.
That was my staff.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other public comment, I'd like to move to supervisors' comments. I want to thank those that braved the cold this evening and do want to flag some updates related to lighting around Harris and programming around MacArthur Boulevard. I want to thank staff. She shared with me the video of, what took place near her home. And I have been in touch and working with our lieutenant here, based at Superior Township, to do an analysis around activity in the Getty's Ridge neighborhood as well as across our neighborhoods. And we're preparing a comparative analysis. In addition to that, as an update for the Harris Road project, where we did, for reasons of safety, put forth 5 new lights to enhance walkability and have more visibility. DTE does have the work order open, and we're expected for it to be completed within 90 days. Please know that I'm continuing to speak with DTE and think about what kind of alternatives there are, not only for public safety, for all of our neighborhoods, and especially those that residents have brought forth, but thinking too about what kind of funding and mechanisms might be in place for residents to take on lighting on their properties, and for us to be more creative than working with, a traditional infrastructure where we saw the costs from DTE become so, exorbitant for so few lights. And unfortunately, they thought the scope of what they could do was quite minimal within 6 to 9 lights based on the current infrastructure in place and boring, which was really unfortunate. So thank you for that comment, and please know that if our community is not safe, we don't have much of anything. So know that public safety is of the most urgency, and I'm continuing to work very closely, particularly with the county sheriff. So Thank you for that. Tonight, we've got a quite short agenda, as some have mentioned, and we'll begin with a presentation that our clerk has coordinated with the auditing firm Gabridge and Company. Is there a motion to get that presentation going?
Move. Support.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Not that it was necessary. Okay, wonderful. Clerk?
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Holland. I'm one of the audit managers, and I'll be the, excuse me, the audit manager for Charter Township this year. First off, I think we're just kind of going to do a brief introduction and kind of just go through, and if there's any questions, let me know. We audit any type of entity across the see comments pop up. We audit.
Hey, Matt, I'm sorry to
township-
interrupt you. Do you mind just holding up for a quick second while we try to figure out the mic? Sorry.
No, no problem. That's why I wasn't sure if that was me or someone else.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need me to test.
So this is our auditing firm. that
Mhm.
Yes.
we're from?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you say something, Matt?
Yes, no problem. Is volume good? Testing.
Really gonna be.
Yeah, I mean,
How about now, Matt?
Testing, testing, testing.
yeah, yeah.
Can you? I think it might be coming through my headset. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, testing. Is volume good?
Go ahead.
All right. Am I good to go?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So first off, Gabriel and Company, I'm an audit manager. I'll be the one handling the township's audit this year. So I'll be the main point of contact. Joe Verlin is the audit principal. So the one that reviews and signs off, submits the audit, takes the full responsibility for it. He will also be involved. I'll have a few of my staff members. I think most likely their names are David Herrig, Jacob Harrison, and Robert Klein, most working on the engagement this year. We audit all sorts of entities across the state, anywhere from small townships and special purpose fire districts to quite a few counties. So we have experience all over the place. We actually audit some of your neighbors as well. So quite experienced there. You've worked with Plant Moran in the past. I know they're
Yeah.
assistant. Is there a question?
No,
Nope.
we just can't hear you right now.
Okay.
You probably need to take that off so you can hear. Put the mic up to.
I don't think the computer's that far on.
That's why I saying do the sound through the computer.
I had it coming through the speaker of the TV.
Ah.
earlier. Go ahead and try again.
Testing.
Can you hear it?
How's it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same. Just proceed, sir.
Okay. So I don't know how much of the previous part you heard, but I was also saying we worked with Plant Moran in the past. I know they're assisting in the preparation for the township. So we have a good working relationship there. Obviously, we'll still be, responsible and reporting directly to the township board. In the first year, some things that you might see from us that I don't know if you've seen before you'll see some communication. All board members will likely receive a questionnaire from us, just asking some controls and other knowledge-based things they have about the township. Other processes of just substantiating beginning balances from previous auditor and understanding some of those internal controls that you already have in place and processes that you have in place, where we'll be looking into those a little deeper in the first year, kind of part of that first year process. And then I know we have temporarily set up field worker starting the audit in early March. I know that was more of a goal, so I don't know if that's still the target with the township plant and us starting the audit. Obviously, we'll be flexible there as needed, but starting the audit in March, and then typically that will allow us to hopefully have a draft turnaround in the April timeframe if we start in March. So kind of most of what we have about the audit. I guess, are there any questions from the board, or do you want me to start at the first part that you might not have heard again?
Do you guys have any questions for him? Did you hear any of that?
No.
Maybe we can include something in writing.
Yeah, I'll
related
draft
to
something
the
up.
introduction, and then we
An
can
email over.
include that in the minutes for the packet. Or
Okay.
somehow get that out to the public for those who weren't able to hear.
Yeah, I can throw a memo together and get that over to
Thank
the
you.
public.
Exactly, are you all located?
So we're mostly located in Grand Rapids and Traverse City. So obviously, thank you for letting me attempt to do the Zoom tonight. Obviously, roads over here have been wonderful this past week if you hadn't seen in the news. So based in Grand Rapids and in Traverse City, we do have a couple remote employees in Lansing and previously in Saginaw.
Okay, I'm just asking because I'm wondering at some point in time, will you all be able to come and do a live presentation? Because
Is your mic on?
this wasn't the best.
Yeah, for the audit presentation, we'll for sure be there on site. That won't be a problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up that presentation. If we could turn the audio off, please. All right, test. Great. It's still on, Sarah. Test. Great, thank you. Okay, now moving ahead to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to receive and file as a whole, or is there anything the board would like to pull out?
I actually would like to pull what was formerly known as the controller's report
Okay,
and then the utilities report.
okay, all right, great. Is there a second?
I'll,
All right, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, it's unanimous. Mr. Green, discussion?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things that I wanted to note here. As soon as I find my tabs. Okay, let's start with the utilities report.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at the utilities connection permits. This is page 74 for those that are following online or for those in the audience. So I noted that the utility connection permits are currently under review for fee schedule updates, and the last time that we updated those was in 2003. Madam Supervisor, if you can you provide a little bit more insight as to like what the utility connections are and what we anticipate as being the updates, or when can we expect the updates?
We're reviewing right now with Plant Moran what a fair fee schedule is. Our director, Ms. Burton, was concerned that it's been lying in the same position for the last 20+ years for a great variety of them. We are expecting a good amount of building, and two, considering that there might be the new loop soon constructed for the Ridge area, this is an important time for us to be reviewing how much it costs for folks to tap into the system. This isn't something that would directly hit residents, but more hit folks that are electing to tap into municipal water storage or those that are developing or building. And this is something that she's been passionate about, wanting to prove her Sue for a while, and just really wanted to get a handle on what she felt was fair, get Plans Moran involved and make sure that they thought that the calculations made sense, not only just based on what our neighbors were doing, but what was fair and equitable and would give Superior the correct amount of revenue.
Okay.
And so that's something that we're looking at right now. So we've been, Mary, Ms. Burton and I have been talking about this for several months, and then we looped in Brian Kemmler. And so he's doing a final review, but I anticipate that within the next month or so, you guys will see some updates proposed, and then also how we got there, as well as what our neighbors in terms of different municipalities are doing.
Okay, awesome. So just to clarify, so the connection permits, that would be subject to, I think I heard you say builders. But
Right.
it wouldn't affect residents' water rates or like their water bills?
No,
Okay,
nope, totally separate.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Second question related to the utility report,
Yes.
preventative maintenance projects.
Yes.
So I see that it says maintenance crews will jet sewer mains and select subdivisions.
Mhm.
Do you mind sharing what subdivisions those are, and if you're aware, and then what is that process? What does that mean? If you have the information, we can obviously seek more.
In terms of technical awareness, I
Yeah.
know that there have been concerns about what the flow looks like, and a couple of the neighborhoods that we've been most concerned about are Washington Square and the Oak Brook neighborhood. But in terms of how the jet sewer implementation looks like, I can't give you a strong answer. And unfortunately, I'm the only person here tonight, but I can get more data back to you and how that process looks.
Yeah, I mean, as you are aware, and as most of the board is aware of, we obviously have had flooding issues in several parts of the township. So I just wanted to get a better understanding of what this process, how it might benefit the different subdivisions. But happy to follow up with Mary more on that.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my questions for the utility department.
Okay.
And then just quick question, or maybe not so quick, but it shouldn't take too long, hopefully. So just going back and looking at this is our first kind of report for the year. I know this is dated November 30th is the last date,
Mhm.
but kind of going through and looking at the numbers here, looking at like total assets, for example, in comparison to last year, November 30th, 2024, total assets, we had $934,809 in comparison to this year,
Mhm.
$1,610,141.33.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like across the different funds or our fund balance in general, we have begun to recruit some of the losses from the reserves. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah. Also, in terms of the general fund specifically,
Mm.
the biggest boost that we're seeing is related to the sale of the cell tower of SBA. And then two, in terms of generating new funds, we reinvested a fair amount of the money that was coming in from millages on a temporary basis into the Michigan class funds. So, big thanks to our treasurer for making that decision. And that has generated also a significant amount of interest. I believe also Mr. Kamler and Plant Moran wanted to recalculate where our ARPA funds were standing.
Mhm.
And so some of the monies from ARPA, he's recalculated towards the general fund. And also those have been, not everything has been spent down,
Okay.
and a ton of interest has been accrued as we've been holding that money.
Okay. So, and maybe this is a follow-up question for Brian, but so we had some money left over from the ARPA funds that wasn't spent?
For instance, some of the projects were 2 years and we're coming up on what would be past them, but there's a few of them, and we can chat about that,
Sure.
that have not completed their projects or have not pursued the drawdown. And one of the most significant is the County Recreation Center and
Mhm.
Community Center. They have not drawn down the money yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. So overall, I guess the thing that I'm trying to get at and just kind of looking at our numbers here,
Yeah.
we have started the slow climb back to replenishing our reserves, or am I being over optimistic on that?
I think that our assets look more favorable because
So,
we've been more thoughtful about our accounting. We had a more major sale. We're generating more interest. But structurally, out of our general fund, we have reoccurring costs
mhm,
that even with minimal special projects and things that we have been on the hook for, we are still dipping into a deficit. So we're thinking our way through that, but I think that we still need to be quite mindful.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That concludes my questions.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a want to receive and file any other questions beyond Mr. Green's? Okay, is there a motion to, yes, Mr. Schwartz?
Comment on trustees Green's comment, just to let the board know that the fee schedule for capital improvements or for
Mhm.
capital connections has not been changed since 2023, but we did review it in 2015 because Pulte was going to sue us saying that our sewer fees were too high.
Mm.
So there is a report out there that establishes the means and methods by which a calculation is made.
Okay,
I'm sure wherever we're at on that right now, we're fine. It may need to go up a little bit, but I don't think it needs to go down.
Just to clarify for the record, you were saying that it hasn't gone up since 2003, right?
As far as I know,
Yeah,
yes.
you said 2023, so I just wanted to.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, you get, you get.
I didn't even hear it incorrectly. I just heard what I want.
See, a young brain has so much advantage over an old brain.
So much history, Ken. So, okay, thank you. I will look into that report. I appreciate it. All right. And so there's a motion to receive and file the rest of the communications.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right, moving ahead to new business, we have two items. The first being Resolution 2026-1, a resolution approving the 2026 poverty exemption guideline for the Board of Review. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there discussion or want to take the vote?
Well, we've given this every year and, we have been at least as generous as the feds, if not a little bit more. And fortunately, we have had not a lot of people that otherwise qualify for the property exemption, but there are a few out there. And I think that this is keeping up with the actual affordability issue that we have in the country as a whole. Like taxes can be a real burden on
Mhm.
some people of low income.
Yeah.
And I think our Board of Review has been really good about looking at that and evaluating it for a particular homeowner.
Sure. And what I would want to just flag to the board as they're looking at this, I wanted to take a look not only at the federal poverty guidelines, which are not very generous, but also what our neighbors are doing, both in Wayne County and Washtenaw. And Superior sits pretty well within the middle of our neighbors. Ann Arbor Township is quite generous, but we've stayed on track with, what our metrics are, what our calculations are over the past several years. But we are fair. We are a bit more generous than most of the folks that are nearby, which I feel comfortable with because the way that the federal regulations are, it's quite tight. I mean, it's not even close to livable. And so if anyone wants to chat about the rates or what we are beyond the federal poverty guidelines, please reach out. But I feel comfortable with what we're voting on. Okay.
I think it's really difficult sometimes for a board to say you're excused from paying property taxes. You don't have to contribute to the general welfare. But I've seen cases, and I know that you're now the secretary of the Board of Review. There are cases where, the payment or the lack of payment or a partial payment on property taxes can make a huge difference in the ability of a family to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. Okay. All right, calling the vote. If the clerk will please take a roll call.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Robinson, yes. McKinney, Lewis,
Yeah.
Green,
Yes.
Devereaux, Davish Yakine,
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving to our other item this evening, which is Resolution 2026-2. Adopt a resolution imposing a temporary moratorium for a period of 12 months on the establishing, permitting, consideration, approval, location, construction, and/or installation of any data centers in the Charter Township of Superior. Is there a motion?
So moved.
support.
Any discussion? Mr. Green?
Oh, Supervisor, can you just provide the rationale as to why we're bringing this moratorium today?
Sure. As most folks online or in the audience, and especially the gentleman to my left, would know, there's a significant amount of focus on Washtenaw County, and in particular in our rural areas for the deploying and development of data centers. We have the land, we have the resources, we have the electrical infrastructure, and we have, the folks to support it. Many of our neighbors have been either solicited or pushed into these developments, and many, before us have unfortunately had to be forced into knee-jerk reactions or lack of preparedness because they were not anticipating data centers. There have been no organizations that have approached me or township staff about wanting to move forward with this sort of plan, but seeing how much focus is on this area and understanding that we are rural, there are significant swaths of property, and also recognizing that our zoning does not yet incorporate standards for data centers. I know there's an interest from some members of this board, but also from me to make sure that we are equipped should that conversation happen. And two, just in terms of timing, this does give us coverage. It's written in a way that we can take a full 12-month pause, but we are anticipating that at our March board meeting that we will be presented, and I will make sure that you guys have the documentation well in advance, zoning ordinance rewrite, which has been in the works for almost 2 years. There was a subcommittee with the Planning Commission. It's up for a vote, the Planning Commission, I want to say this coming month. And as that gets finalized through the Planning Commission on their end, but not total finalization, but the commission's vote, and then they receive review and input as a part of the public hearing. Within that, there will be codified, once we approve it, standards around data centers. So that's an aspect of what they've been working on. I know that we've been working on streamlining our policies and our planning around land use. There's significant, amount of categories compared to other communities and, some questionable areas. And we're really just trying to make it black and white in terms of policy, make sure that our zoning is crystal clear. And since there is a little bit of an interim point between now and knowing that these conversations are ongoing with these developments, and when we'll have these new policies in place, this just gives us a little bit of extra coverage to pause, to set publicly what our standards are, and in a way that is totally above board, totally legal, but allows us an opportunity to pause and think.
Sure, sure. I appreciate that. And I, just from having been like most of the country, but specifically like within Washtenaw County, haven't been exposed to this over the last few months. I know that, on the federal side of things, there's been a significant effort to prevent local municipalities from providing regulation around the construction of data centers, and also on the state side, it's moving so quickly that the regulation doesn't yet exist. So I appreciate having the opportunity to at least put in place a 12-month moratorium so that we can at least get our ducks in a row if we were approached. And just to clarify, we have not been approached
I
today.
have not heard a peep from any company interested in exploring, nor have our staff.
Thank you.
And yes, Mr. Lucas.
You're talking to Mike.
Given my experience with this, the one thing you have to realize is though, you can pass this moratorium, and I'm not advising you not to.
Mhm.
But if a school or university comes in and wants to establish a data center in our community, we have no say. Because zoning does not apply to
Right.
educational institutions. So I'm telling you, this is the right thing to do, but understand that we're seeing that over in Ypsilanti.
Right. In Ypsilanti Township with the University of Michigan. Right.
Yeah. And they're basically, they're not bound by local zoning regulations. So I just don't want anybody to think that this is a panacea for everything.
Yeah.
Right. But just for clarity, sorry, Ken.
That's right.
But in the case of a private company, this would provide us some protection. At
Yes,
least within this.
no
okay.
question.
All right.
No question.
Mr. Schwartz?
Brad, so has there been any effort to preempt local authority through the state on data centers specifically?
Not that I'm aware of yet,
All right.
although,
Hmm.
we know that our governor is in favor of this project.
At least Celine, right?
Well, I also know that many in the county are in favor of the Saline project, We'll see what happens, honestly, I mean, they're going full bore down there right now. If you go drive down 12, you'll see. I mean, they've done a lot of work out there already, but see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sorry, most of the preempting that we're seeing to that point is around solar and around battery storage. And so too, we have been approached around solar, and it's not a sure thing that any project will pan out. But two, I'm working with our planners and hope to have before you all soon a workable ordinance so that at least we have the opportunity to engage and locally negotiate with those that are also looking around solar, just like considering like alternative energy and new technology. And on that front, the state, has been very involved in preemption, and there's only so much that we can do in terms of negotiating, making sure that, community benefits are involved. And so that's something that's also being worked on. And
If I may comment on that. One of the things that we've been looking at, and believe me, that none of this is written in stone.
Who's we, Fred?
Myself and other attorneys that are municipal attorneys, we've talked about these things. I've been dealing with this with a number of them. One of the questions is whether or not, the question is the scope of the state statute, which gives the MPSC the authority to basically overrule if we don't have a CREO, that they can go directly to the state. But that's only if they have a CREO. The question is this: is that statute so broad that we can't even regulate where the solar would go in the township? Now, one of the things we know that even with a workable statute, that if they don't like it, they can just say no, and because it's not consistent with the CREO. So one of the things that we've been looking at is whether or not we can, as a community, identify the area where solar would be appropriate. Not saying that, for example, in many ordinances, it says it goes in agricultural, as a conditional use. Well, instead of that, the idea would be to say, okay, we've identified this area in our township where solar may be appropriate. And then instead of adopting a workable ordinance, adopt a compatible ordinance. And then the bottom line is that that issue is not resolved. It may well be that that the state, the courts say, you have no control over it. But it's an alternative to just using a workable and allowing it to go basically anywhere that it's a special land use. This would identify, and what we would do is we would identify it as a overlay district, and we would indicate where that overlay district would be appropriate. Now, mind you, we're not talking about, 3 acres of land either. I mean, you'd have to identify a substantial, parcel of land that would have substantial, because otherwise the court's going to look at that and just say, that's unrealistic. I mean, no one's going to put a solar farm on 3 acres. But I think it is a possibility, and you might want to consider looking at where in the community, if you had to have one, where in the community would you want it? As a thing, and then maybe looking at that as an overlay district, and instead of going with the CREO, with the workable, go with the CREO, and then again, I'm not telling you that that's a guaranteed, but it at least might provide a greater protection. It might, but we don't know. It's all to be decided yet.
Mr.
Fred?
Schwartz?
Yeah,
What do you mean by CREO? I haven't heard.
compatible renewable energy ordinance. And by compatible, you have to meet the compatibility is meeting the standards that are set forth in the renewable energy statute. In other words, 50-foot setbacks from property lines. See, for example, down in Saline Township, when we approved the battery storage facility, they were willing to work under a workable ordinance and agreed to greater setbacks. They agreed to like a 300-foot setback.
Which
Then-
can be attractive, that aspect of the workable, allowing for more
Right.
flexibility, more negotiation, if the company is willing to
If
go
the
with it.
company's willing to do it.
They're willing to be a good community partner.
Right. So it's kind of a trade-off between, the other thing is, for example, down in Saline, they would not budge on a 600-foot setback for solar. Well, a solar company just said, "The hell with you, we're just gonna stay," which they have.
Which is the risk of it, right? Is in this negotiation. Since you can't be preempted by the state as a municipality, how far do you think that the organization or a particular business is willing to go with a project like this? Knowing that sometimes, the compatible is not excellent. And if we can't get more out of the workable, if we think that there is a quasi thoughtful partner that's coming to the table, I think that there needs to be a balance. And two, if you know who's coming to the table and you might be working in reaction to that, there might be a little
I
bit more
agree.
foresight.
Like I said, it's not, none of these is neither of these options is foolproof.
Mhm.
There, and again, even with the idea of identifying, if you adopt a Creo and identify an area for your overlay district, there is no guarantee that the courts are going to give any weight to that.
Yeah.
They can say, hey, no, look, the state statute took over the entire area and you can't regulate it at all once it comes to the state. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I know that that's presently being litigated, that question, whether or not we can even control where it goes.
So Fred, is there any legislation or law out there now that says that a local unit is prohibited from evaluating a data center based on zoning merits?
No,
There's not.
Like solar.
nothing.
So it could still be denied.
Well, right, that's on data. I was talking, really what I was talking about, Ken, was solar,
Okay.
battery storage, solar, wind,
Together.
those
Sorts of
elements.
policy.
Now, again, the other thing to remember is just because you have passed a moratorium
Mhm.
still doesn't mean you can't get sued.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what happened in Salinas. They turned it down and then got sued.
Yeah.
So, and Dave Landry is representing the township down there in the litigation.
Mhm.
So,
Mr. Green, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, I just kind of wanted to summarize for the audience who to go back and watch the meeting or is watching currently. So the resolution that we're talking about today is a moratorium on data centers. You
Yes.
brought up the solar energy projects as something that we will be approached with or are currently being approached with as something to also consider as we're thinking about ordinances like this, right?
Yes, and the difference between data centers where the state hasn't set any sort of legislation that would preempt a municipality. And just in terms of big projects, big amounts of resources, large pieces of land, too, just pointing out, have been reached out to about solar, not data centers. Data centers can't be preempted by the state, solar we can, and it's very likely coming down the pike. And just thinking about getting our ordinances ready. And so for data centers, we've got this resolution, then we'll have the zoning ordinance in place. And then I believe solar is not addressed in the new zoning ordinance rewrite, but we are working on, unless we decide it's a bad idea, but I still think it's a good idea based on who's coming to the
bad
table,
idea. Just,
getting a workable ordinance
Sure.
together, and we'll probably have that ready in the next month or two.
and now, let me just, one other thing that you need to, if you want to get ahead of the curve a little bit, small nuclear.
You stop that.
Oh, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Roger's
We're
stressing me
seeing
out.
proposals about basically mini nuclear plants that really are the size of a large generator that as opposed to solar. I mean, that's coming and it's coming faster than you think.
Things to think about.
Have you heard of anyone in Washtenaw or Wayne that's been?
No,
approached?
not in Washtenaw County, but I have heard of them and I'm aware of these small nuclear facilities as an alter, because they take up very little land. And as opposed to, hundreds of acres for solar. I mean, they basically take up the size of a residential lot, if that, in terms of the actual size of the unit. And so that's something that, I'm just telling you, as we look in the future of energy, alternative energy sources, I see that as one that's looming on the horizon.
We have to future-proof our land use.
Now, like I say, you can't plan for everything, but it's just give some thought and understand that may be
Okay.
coming sooner than you think.
Thank you.
And that's enough for me.
Mr. Schwartz?
So Fred, in the past, the township has passed moratorium resolutions primarily on residential development. We always tied them to a specific issue such as water, sewer, something that the township was to provide to make it reasonable to develop a piece of land. When it comes to data centers, I really don't even know what's reasonable. I don't know what they need, how they operate, what would the demand be upon the community to host such a thing. So I am totally in favor of like doing this moratorium, but I also think that we should probably form a committee to take a look at the total picture, like what are the facts surrounding the siting and the implementation of a data center, because it's happening everywhere. I see it's going on everywhere, and we probably, in the minds of some developers or owners, we probably have this wide open land, and we probably have a 78-inch connection to water right at Getty's Ridge. That some of these lands might look good, but I'd like to know like what would be the global impact or on this community if we were to pass one. It might be good overall. It might be a net positive. I don't know. So I don't even know the basic facts or questions to ask at this point.
Well, I would urge you to take a look at the consent judgment that we entered. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't. But there was a lot of that was politicized to a large degree because
What you need to
2
do,
weeks after the board had made a decision, the attorneys had drafted a judgment in favor of the developers.
that's not really quite true. Many of those items were actually discussed prior to the filing of the lawsuit.
Mhm.
The issues that were raised were discussed quite extensively before the lawsuit was filed. So it wasn't like that it was just, all of a sudden we threw this all together in the last minute. Many of these concepts had been discussed ahead of time. And I'm not telling you that, again, what we looked at primarily, the issues that were raised were water usage, electricity. Those were the main things. And then, of course, there's normal siting, landscaping, and all that stuff. But ultimately, the bottom line is that with regards to that, I agree. You need to, you should take the time to look at that, to look at the entire thing and see what you can do. Again,
For
Go ahead.
example, Fred, we have a limitation on how much water we can buy from Yucca.
Mhm.
And if a data center has come in that would exceed that limitation, we'd have to renegotiate our water contract with Yucca.
well,
So I mean,
Man,
there's
this
a lot of.
this is what happens when you get two lawyers in a room.
No, there's
No,
just common sense. There's a lot of
Right,
contingencies that
understand
need
it.
to be investigated.
Mr.
And I-
Mr. Green has a
I
question.
understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. I don't think
Long
now's the time
conversation.
for us to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're,
Mr. Green, do you have
yeah,
a-
so this,
any
I
questions?
think there are a lot of areas that we have to explore in the realm of data centers. And I think the conversation that's been had here tonight is the exact reason why I'm appreciative that
Okay.
this moratorium has come forward.
Great,
And
good.
I would like to call the question.
Okay. I support that.
Can I just say one last, because I have to.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't tell you with 100-degree certainty that a moratorium is legal.
Thanks for adding that in.
Fred, under the basic Supreme Court, I forget the case, but the basic Supreme Court ruling that upheld the moratorium was that the community must anchor that to specific facts that they need to either investigate or they cannot provide.
I'll
And
explain.
we're
later.
kind of out there like
Well,
in
let's
the
wrap-
air.
We'll have a legal
I
discussion.
don't think anybody's looking,
Because
but I don't think anybody's really looking at us right now. Otherwise you would know, to put a
Who's
data
looking at this
center.
right now. I-
And I don't
it's a
think
good
that
way
we're
to-
probably a good community for a lot of the
Mr.
reasons.
Schwartz, we called the question. Thank you.
Oh.
Ms. Robinson, would you help me with the roll call?
Yes. David Shackine,
Aye.
Devereaux, Green,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
McKinney, Robinson, yes, Schwartz.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you. Moving to discussion. There are none, even though we just had one. Bills for payment and record of disbursements. I think we just were receiving and
Support.
filing this one. Right. Is there a motion?
Yeah, it's been properly moved.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, all
Oh.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Moving to pleas and petitions. If there is anyone that would like to speak to any issue, this is an opportunity to, both with our board and, okay, all right.
I would just like to once again thank everyone, the residents, the Superior firefighters, Superior Township firefighters, OHM, for anyone who donated a blanket and or food during the holiday season for those who were in need of such items. And I just want to again thank everyone. I actually had to make 2 trips to Hope Clinic this time. And yeah, that's actually quite wonderful. So our donations came up to quite a bit. And I, again, just want to thank everyone, and especially our wonderful residents and firefighters, and again, OHM and all of the township staff who actually helped out. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Green?
The only thing that I wanted to just note, in pleas and petitions tonight is obviously like this is gonna be dangerously cold over this next week, and we're in winter time in general, so it's cold outside, and just thinking of folks, who, might not have access to a warm bed this winter. I would encourage everybody to visit the Washtenaw County website to get access to the daytime warming centers. The closest one to us is the Ypsilanti Freight House. And in the case that you need overnight accommodations, I would encourage you all to visit the Delana Center. And then don't forget, we actually have the brand new family housing over in Alpha House that's in the Trinity district. So I would just encourage folks to look into those resources if they're needed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And two, if anyone just feels comfortable reaching out to the township, we can also help to direct you to county resources and different resources that are available within our community. We're always happy to help. Mr. Schwartz?
Back in 2013 to 14, we had a pretty bad winter. I don't know if people remember that. But we actually designated the township hall as a warming center. We didn't have one taker, we're kind of out of the way and, hard for people to get up here. There's no public transportation. But we did offer that, and it was not really used very well, or very much at all.
Super flag. Is there anything in the audience? Anything online? All right. Closing, please, and
I do have one
Yes.
comment I'd like to make, mainly to the supervisor. So, the whole issue about the data centers is becoming kind of a hot political issue, and also a hot economic issue for development and for taxation and for all sorts of issues. I think that you should consider, maybe for the next meeting or at some point, like having a committee that would just derive, like, what are the basic needs and requirements of your average data center? And are those kind of requirements something we can provide, or we cannot provide, or we could provide with a major investment? Just so that if we do get, caught up with some development company, that, we're prepared at that. Because that's what we've done in the past. We kind of jumped ahead, tried to see around the corner and anticipated.
Yep, I think that's definitely the spirit of what we want to do here. I know that, Mr. Green and I have had some, really thoughtful conversations around development and what we can expect, and two, thinking about preparedness. And I'm grateful that Mr. Lucas is our attorney and able to help us and be forward thinking on that front. Yes, certainly want to see around corners. Seeing no other pleas and petitions, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Here you go, my dear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.